gabi sa 1PH. Hatid sa inyo ng PLDT Home.
Partner, we now go to Zambales, no, 2nd District. At ang makakausap natin, no, for most of his life, talagang na-spend niya talaga sa private sector in looking for solutions, paano makakatulong sa mga kababayan natin, no, environmentalist.
Na dito sa kanilang lugar, ayan ang malalaking issue. Environment issues, diba? Ang mining. At interesting itong magiging laban dito sa 2nd District ng Zambales dahil parang bakante yung posisyon eh. Nakapangatlong term na yung incumbent ngayon. So sila, kumbaga, ay open ang posisyon. Makakalaban niya ang isang former governor na 85 years old at ang isang mayor na gustong tumakbo naman ngayon as 2nd District ng 2nd District Representative ng Zambales at ang ating guest na isang environmentalist na gusto nating makilala ngayong gabi.
Interesting.
In the run-up, a rider din.
Oo.
Oo. I wonder kung pag nangangampanya siya ay nagmumotorsiklo siya. Oh. In the run-up to the 2022 elections, we go local.
We look into the politics in your province, city, and barangay and talk to the leaders who have a direct hand in shaping your lives. I'm Taruc.
And I'm Cheryl Cosim. As they say,
all politics is local. Zambales is an agricultural province, home to the sweetest mangoes and a major producer of rice, corn, root crops, vegetables, and fish. And now agriculturist Philip Camara seeks to represent its 2nd District in Congress. The environmental advocate, Papa Fee, as his supporters call him, has a bachelor's degree in agriculture from the University of the Philippines in Los Baños and a master's in agro-industrial development degree from the ADL School of Management, which is known as Holt International Business School in Boston. Camara will be running as an independent, and this aspiring politician will be going up against the patriarch of Zambales' known political clan, former Governor Amor Deloso. Does Papa Fee stand a chance? Tonight, we welcome aspiring Zambales 2nd District Representative, Sir Philip Camara. Welcome to the show, Sir Philip.
Hi, magandang gabi, Jay and Cheryl. Pleasure to be here with you. Salamat po.
Partner, mauna na ako, ha? Philip, alam mo, hindi naman lahat, well, sabi mo nga, ikalawang beses mo lang natatakbo, no, sa politika. And dun sa mga hindi nakakakilala sa'yo, sino ba tong si Philip Camara?
Well, matagal na ako residente dito sa probinsya ng Zambales dahil dito po yung probinsya ng mga ninuno ko. So dito lumaki yung tatay ko, lolo ng lolo ko. Ako po yung 6th generation na Camara dito po sa Botolan. Kaya since 1988, umalis na ako from Manila. I used to live in New York. I've lived in Hong Kong at sa mga ibang I've done that whole international thing. But in 1988, I decided to i-devote na lang yung career ko sa totoong rural development. Ngayon, kung naging advisor po ako sa ilang governors, kagaya ni Governor Pitay Lacson, si Governor Macias, Governor Leandro Berceles ng Catanduanes. So me and my wife, thankfully, we are of the same mind. We don't really like dysfunctional places, things that don't work. So we decided to live in Zambales since 1988, doing our area development work.
Mhm. And kanina sinabi niyo po na, okay, this is the second time. When you were 42, tama ba?
Yes.
On your 40s, you run sa Zambales. And at the same time, at ngayon, pangalawang beses na for district representative naman. What pushed you to run for as district representative po?
Ang alam niyo po ngayon, I would say that Zambales is under assault. They're very aggressive, I would say illegal, because they do not have the proper permits. Mining initiatives, mining projects that are quite destructive of our fragile waterways. They destroy the beaches, actually. They result in salt water intrusion into the aquifer. All of this impact affect the ordinary Zambaleño, but the benefits accrue to complete outsiders and permitted by those in authority, such that if I do not put a stake in what I think should be the future of Zambales, then, who am I, diba? I mean, I don't think there are many people who can challenge the politicians here who are very open to mining, are very facilitative of mining. So I hope to be able to make a difference. First, I hope to win, and after winning, do things that can work. Now, you might say, well, that's not the job of the congressman. That's the job of the mayor to give permits, and the DNR that also give the permits. Yeah. However, Congress has oversight, and it really pains me, once having been a OIC undersecretary for field operations in DNR, where I had like 42,000 employees reporting to me, because it's a very centralized agency. And I see these very same people now just doing things that are so heartbreaking, because they're affecting the smallest, the poorest of the poor. These people who gather fish fry, they gather the bangus fry, they gather the shrimp fry, and the Zambales they call them wildlings, because they're caught in the wild. They are very, very sought after in the market. So certain mining projects will just obliterate, without a thought, obliterate hundreds of livelihoods. And so somebody has to stand up for them. So that's me. I'm here.
Yung tingin mo, Philip, yung pagsali mo sa Congress, no? Yung pagtakbo mo bilang congressman, will be more effective than, let's say, majority of your years sa career mo was spent dealing with private organizations in your capacity as an NGO. Pero this time, gusto mong maging lawmaker, at nakikita mo ba yung mas malaking tulong na maibibigay mo sa Zambaleños kaya gusto mo maging mambabatas?
Definitely, no? Alam mo, the environment is not taken seriously. Maybe the environment becomes a barrier to many people's grand plans. But I'll give you an example. Haribon has been trying to push in Congress for a sustainable forestry bill. As you know, we're still losing 100,000 hectares a year of forest. Can you imagine? And over 4 or 5 Congresses, over maybe like 20 years, we cannot even make headway with a sustainable forestry bill. There is also the alternative mining bill that will make some sense out of this industry, and make sure that it contributes to genuine national development rather than just as an easy money-making scheme that causes a lot of destruction. So, and then the oversight function that Congress should provide to the executive to ensure that rules and regulations are in fact followed. So I think otherwise kasi the permit granting authority, maybe people don't realize, is not with the governor per se. It's with the mayors, and these are such small fiefdoms that they're not that hard to to overcome any bureaucratic thing there. But yet the mining is decided in Manila. And so, therefore, Congress being a national institution, it is quite strategic to use the platform.
And ngayon nga po ay you're running as independent. Gaano kahirap para sa inyo, kagaya nga sabi ni Jay, most of your life talagang nasa private sector kayo, NGO, although naging bahagi po kayo ng grupo ni Ma'am Gina Lopez nung siya secretary pa ng DENR at naging director din kayo sa SBMA. Pero tapos ngayon tumatakbo kayong independent. Gaano kahirap sa pangangampanya, sa pagpapakilala ng inyong sarili sa 2nd District ng Zambales?
Yeah. Well, buti na lang na yung unang takbo ko noong 1998 ay pag-ikot ko po, kasi even if that's 24 years ago, it's quite interesting that I would say I've been doing 1 or 2 barangays a day for about 2 weeks now. And I've come across quite a few of my former 24 years ago. I haven't seen them since. Coordinators, and they're also gung ho. They're also excited that I've come out of retirement from being absent in the political scene. And so I'm hopeful. And the nice thing about being independent, I don't have baggage with candidates whose track record might not exactly fit my complete advocacy. So by being independent, I can keep my advocacy kind of pure. And I have time to build real alliances with mayors whom I can convince on the area development framework. And then I think it would be a much better way to conduct politics, since the party system here is really also, it doesn't really facilitate policy making, etc. It doesn't really consolidate constituents for political views. It's really just a platform for convenience to comply with COMELEC and to have watchers and so on. But by being independent, I can keep my advocacy intact and form alliances if need be during the March 17 campaign period. Right now, I haven't spotted anyone yet who I could work with as a congressman, should I wait, that would implement the area development approach that Gina Lopez so clearly articulated and demonstrated in DNR. So that to me is also a reason why I'm running, is that area development is too important to let it go with Gina. It is a completely different perspective on development from what the current development trust is. So I'm trying to build a political constituency for the area development vision. And unless you run, you won't have a constituency. And so if you don't have a constituency, you're just an NGO. So if I'm successful, and not say I'm sure, but if I'm successful, for me, it's an important beginning of creating a constituency for an alternative development perspective.
All right. Okay, partner Cheryl, before we pause for a gap, ipa-enumerate natin kay Sir Philip yung mga tatlong malalaking problemang kinakaharap ng Zambales, or 2nd District ng Zambales in general. Pero bago mo sagutin yan, Sir Philip, we'll just pause for a short break. You're watching All Politics is Local. We'll be right back.
It's showtime at the 2022 NBA All-Star Saturday Night. Don't miss the sharp passing.
This is ridiculous.
And smooth dribbling.
Sabonis crossing half court. Come on, catch him! Catch him, Junior!
Get amazed by the shooting streaks.
Okay, now we're ready. Come on, team. And now here's his Boston Celtic teammate, G.
The money ball.
26. Will this be the champ? Curry hits it at the buzzer!
High flyers.
12 feet. Go get that. He's 6'3".
And the perfect 50 dunks.
I don't want 49. Don't want 48. Give me 50.
For all things All-Star, we're always a fan. Watch the All-Star Saturday Night on NBA TV Philippines, TV5, and One Sports.
Kinakailangan marinig ang boses ng mga manggagawa. Kailangan mabuo ang kapangyarihan dahil ang gobyernong ito ay atin. Ang bukas ay
kailangan natin ang leader ng tama ay paglalaban at ang mali ay lalaban.
Hangad kong ibalik ang mapagkaisang paglilingkod ng magbubuklod sa ating bansa.
I do not run in promises. I run on
sa ating pamahalaan na patuloy na nagsasamantala at nagnanakaw sa kaban ng bayan. Malapit na kayong magsama-sama.
Ipaglalaban ko kayo hanggang dulo. Itataya ko ang lahat. Ibubuhos ko ang lahat na kayang ibuhos.
Haharapin na ang tanong at isyu ng bayan. Ilalahad ang kani-kanilang plataporma at programa para sa taong bayan. Sama-sama nating kilatisin ang mga kandidatong tumatakbo sa pagkapangulo. Inimbitahan ang 6 sa kanila. Sino nga ba ang karapat-dapat na mamuno sa bansa? Panata sa Bayan, The Presidential Candidates Forum. Ngayong February 4, alas 9 ng umaga. Mapapanood simulcast sa higit 300 miyembrong istasyon.
This year, NBA All-Star 2022 is happening in Cleveland, Ohio. The best players come to play, and the brightest stars take the spotlight. Witness the iconic moments and highlights that are about to unfold. On Saturday, we have the Rising Stars. To be followed by All-Star Saturday Night. And to top it all off, we have the 71st NBA All-Star Game on Monday. For all things NBA All-Star, we're always a fan. Catch the action on NBA TV Philippines, TV5, and One Sports.
Welcome back. You're still watching All Politics is Local with us, aspiring Zambales 2nd District Representative Philip Camara. Sir, kanina nga po sinabi ni Jay, what are the 3 biggest problems in Zambales, or particularly in the 2nd District?
Yes, I would say the first really is the mining that I would describe as highly irresponsible mining. Second would be the gross lack of support for our primary producers. Here I'm referring to our farmers, largely rice farmers. They are experiencing the effect of, I suppose, the importation, the change of the policy framework as it comes to rice, where now government policy favors the consumer. And the poverty levels are quite stark when it comes to the rice farmer. Well, just a very brief example. His revenue is going lower and lower. I mean to say the price per kilo of palay is not going up, but the price of the inputs has gone up by almost 100%. And yet you don't see any effort to lessen the blow to the farmers of this importation policy and of the The fertilizers from 1,500 a sack, they're now going at 3,000. So it's quite sad when I go around the rice fields. Being an agriculturist, I can take one look at the rice field and know that it's missing urea, it's missing certain things. You will get the harvest, but the harvest will be quite low. And of course, from the national perspective, lower rice production, etc. But I look at it from the point of view of the family that's involved with the rice farming. So the poverty because of the lack of support is the second big problem. And but that cuts across many other sectors. No, the fishery sector. If you ask them, what was the fisheries catch 5 years ago compared to today? They'll tell it's like a 30 to 40% reduction. So here you have a growing population, and yet the productivity levels are actually going down. With fisheries, there are many places where artificial reefs to create fish breeding stations. We could copy Japan, wherein very specific grids of the municipal waters are awarded to specific fishing associations. So, in Japan, they're the ones who actually, put fry. They're the ones who manage the coastal resource. And the productivity is so much higher. It's so sad when you go to a fishing community, people just look so dejected. They have no little support from the government.
I was gonna ask that, Sir Philip, doon po sa inyong pag-iikot, sabi nyo nga, maganda nangangampanya at nag-iikot early in the morning. You get the chance to talk to them mismo. Mahalaga na naririnig nyo ang sentimiento. Ito po ay yung mga sabi nyo nga tatlong main problems ay base po sa nakikita ninyo. Pero yung sentimiento, kagaya po sa mining, ano po ang sentimiento nila sa mining, lalo na yung mga apektadong mga residente po ng 2nd District?
Ay, galit po sila. They're quite angry and they're quite disappointed, dismayed at the lack of government defense of their interests and their rights, actually, no? So that is heartbreaking to them, that you would have a government that would actually favor a foreign corporation over their interest and make takip. Ang daming takip dito, takip.
But Philip, let me ask you this, no? Anong pwede mong gawin? For example, manalo kang congressman ng 2nd District. Ano agad ang gagawin mo para masolusyonan itong problema, yung disappointment mawala dito sa mga taga Zambales?
Well, I would call immediately the DNR Region 3 officers and explain to me as a I hope to end up in the environmental committee, if I win, no. So the next long shot would be, since I'm new, is to end up in the environmental committee of Congress, and that would have oversight over the way laws are being implemented. Since from our observation, and now DNR, because of the force with which the community and their supporters, including myself, I have a statement there in my Facebook page, are defending the environment and the livelihood of the people. They sort of they backtrack, and now they're calling a meeting of the protesters in Region 3. But
what you are saying there are enough laws, Philip. There are enough laws, pero hindi lamang na-implement ng tama.
Ay, talaga. Oo, talaga. When you're down in the field, all politics is local. When you're down in the field and you actually feel the way a law is implemented, that's local. Because the politics is national. But the way it's being implemented is as important as the law. And there's certainly no place in the law to implement regulations like that, where you ignore the rules. You ignore the rules on community input. You ignore the rules on public consultation. You ignore the rules on the water code of the Philippines. You cover a river with a road because you want to use that road to lead to a port that will bring in the minerals out of the country, and in so doing, you will kill fisheries, you will kill surfing, you will kill ecotourism. No, the issue is much bigger than that. It's not that they didn't do it legally and they took a lot of shortcuts. The issue is, what right does anybody have to change the local economy? If hundreds of people are making good income, sustainable income from surfing instructions, from surf resorts, from waitering, from being good cooks, from guides, from bangka operators, what a thriving local economy will be squashed. What right does a man sitting in an office in DNR does he have to change that into a mining export thing where how will you surf? You have ships there, the water now will become dirty, the river is converted to a road. Wala na. I think nobody has a right. And that's why one of my, when you do area development, you will naturally be for halos 100%, much more local economy. And that's why I'm for federalism, no? But to have people there outside the local area make decisions, give permits that totally erase what the locals have built up over time, that's not only environmental, that's justice.
Philip,
Principles of justice. That's unjust. And somebody's got to stand up for them.
But Philip, some would argue that mining generates jobs. But what will you do to replace the livelihood of those affected by a ban in mining?
Well, the first thing that Gina and I presented to the cabinet of Duterte was a job creation program from the 27 mines that we closed. Not because we don't like mines, but because of the 45 mines, these 27 mines had quite obvious violations. But violations that do not impact somebody else. Maybe you could look the other way. But for Gina and for ourselves and her team and myself and her team, you cannot have violations that affect other people. So what if they're poor? They're still people, di ba?
Philip, having studied environmental science, can mining ever be sustainable?
Yes, in fact, the current regulations are quite simple, and they would already address it quite a bit. No? So first is that the regulation is, if you're going to do strip mining, which is you strip away the ground cover and send that to China, you can only do 50 hectares at a time. And then you repair the 50 hectares before you go to the next 50 hectares. So that itself is so wonderful because you will stabilize the siltation. If you stabilize the siltation, you will not clog up the irrigation, nor will you clog up the creeks. And so there is a way of doing it. I think, though, that if you were to follow the regulations, maybe they will not become billionaires. Maybe the amount that can be stocked away is not that large. But you cannot take shortcuts, get away with it, and then affect other people. Do you know that because we are an archipelago, our mountains are related to the coastal areas by a network of creeks and rivers and all that. So if you break the watershed, it's just a matter of time before you are starting the path to desertification. When you cover the waterways, the water from the rain will not anymore be absorbed. It goes to the sea, but first it will cause massive flooding and destruction before it does that. Flash floods are one of the most destructive forces. So if you do the 50 hectares at a time, that itself, I'm not saying that would cure all the environmental things, but it will certainly stabilize a lot of the ill effects that you see right now.
All right. Partner, we need to pause for a break. No, you're still watching All Politics is Local. We're still talking to aspiring Zambales 2nd District Representative, Mr. Philip Camara. Stay tuned.
This year, NBA All-Star 2022 is happening in Cleveland, Ohio. The best players come to play and the brightest stars take the spotlight. Witness the iconic moments and highlights that are about to unfold. On Saturday, we have the Rising Stars. To be followed by All-Star Saturday night. And to top it all off, we have the 71st NBA All-Star Game on Monday. For all things NBA All-Star, we're always a fan. Catch the action on NBA TV Philippines, TV5, and One Sports.
Cignal presents Fun Learning at Home in partnership with Nick Jr.
On Nick Jr., we take a playful approach to learning and prepare your preschoolers for life.
Will you help me?
Through the world of numbers.
How many slices of pineapple do we have left?
4. Words and letters.
Awesome! Now let's get our treasure back.
And science and technology.
Let's use mechanical engineering.
With curriculum-based themes in every show, your preschoolers will unlock a lifetime of learning as they play to learn on Nick Jr.
Join us in creating an enjoyable and inspiring world for kids. Fun learning at home never stops with Nick Jr. here on Cignal.
It's showtime at the 2022 NBA All-Star Saturday Night. Don't miss the sharp passing and smooth dribbling.
Sabonis crossing half court. Come on, catch him! Catch him, Junior!
Get amazed by the shooting streaks.
Okay, now we're ready. Come on, team. And now here's his Boston Celtic teammate,
The money ball.
Will this be the champ? Curry hits it at the buzzer!
High flyers.
12 feet. Go get that. He's 6'3".
And the perfect 50 dunks.
I don't want 49. Don't want 48. Give me 50.
For all things All-Star, we're always a fan. Watch the All-Star Saturday night on NBA TV Philippines, TV5, and One Sports.
Welcome back. You're still watching All Politics is Local. Still with us is aspiring Zambales 2nd District Representative Philip Camara. Sir Philip, ito na yung aming lightning round na tinatawag, no? Dito namin makikita kung kayo ay pro or anti, no? Walan ko na, partner. Medyo, medyo national issue naman tayo.
Sige pa.
Mandatory vaccination. Si Philip Camara ba is pro or anti?
Pro.
Short explanation, sir.
We have to defend ourselves. And when the defense is there, we should take it for our personal and as well for the common good. We shouldn't clog up the hospitals and we shouldn't put people at risk.
Pero si Zambales, partner, parang mababa dyan di ba? Cheryl, no?
Kamusta ang cases po dyan? At kamusta yung vaccine hesitancy?
Well, when I go around campaigning, especially now, maybe 15% believe that it's still a hoax. But nobody wears a mask. You'd be hard-pressed to find somebody in the fishing grounds, in the farming communities, wearing a mask. But I always wear a mask. And the vaccine hesitancy has gone down quite a bit. Before, even my household, the farm help, the household help, the room help. I mean, nobody wanted to get vaccinated, but because they said they'll get vaccinated if I get vaccinated, so I got myself vaccinated. So they all followed. Left to their own devices, I don't think they'll be vaccinated.
Why? Bakit po? Is it because na kulang ang information dissemination, pagpapaintindi ng kasalukuyang pamahalaan dyan na kung ano ang kahalagahan ng pagbabakuna po?
Siguro may kakulangan sa pagdating sa pagtitiwala sa sa whatever source of information they get. Dahil hindi kagaya po sa Manila, ako mismo, yung dating roommate ko sa college, I had 2 roommates. I only had 4 roommates in my life, but 2 of them passed away from COVID. So, from personal knowledge and government and other information, of course, you'll make a informed conclusion. Pero yung mga tao dito, lalo pa sa mga libliban, they don't know anybody who actually died of COVID. But that was in the early days. Now, of course, now they hear of somebody. I mean, hundreds of people have died also naman in Zambales, including a parish priest and so on. So, as that happens, of course, the acceptance becomes higher.
Okay, next issue, pro or anti build project at the cost of environmental degradation?
Opposed. No. Infrastructure and environment should go together. It's not one or the other. It can be done well. It shouldn't be done cheaply. It should be done well. And if done well, you don't have to sacrifice one for the other.
Another environmental issue, itong ferro-nickel plant in Candelaria. Pro ka ba dyan or anti?
Well, technically, as a anti-mining advocate, one of the issues is that why are we sending soil abroad? The ferro-nickel plant is facing some opposition here. I have not delved into the details, but I understand now that ferro-nickel plant is not anymore going to be in Candelaria. I think it's being moved to my town in Botolan. I have yet to study it. But in general, processing of minerals, I am for that. I'm against shipping out our soil. That's crazy.
Next issue, pro or anti dito po sa galunggong importation?
Against. My God. No, but against because it's very easy to ramp up our local production. I've come to the conclusion that in the Philippines, we always favor trading over production. It might be an overgeneralization, but where the Filipino, especially those in government, can help producers, instead, that attention is being given na lang to importers, maybe because of the smuggling effect. I think there was also an expose. If you look at the value of export from the origin.
Kumikita, Philip, pagka nag-i-import, ganun ba? Maraming kumikita.
Pero actually, kaya naman pala natin. Marami tayong ganyan na isda, lalo na nga sa Zambales. Alright, next issue, partner?
Okay. Sorry. As you were saying, Philip?
No, I can't believe that these are the poorest of the poor, and yet there's no effort to lift them up by making them more productive and making galunggong available and cheaper. Why not?
Mas mahal na sa karne ang galunggong.
I hope to be a voice of reason in Congress because there's a lot of...
Mahal na, partner. Oo, mahal.
Oo. Mas mahal na ang galunggong sa karne.
Diba?
Itong next issue, Philip, medyo emotional ito. Ewan ko kung mas may weight ito sa mga taga-Zambales, ano? Pero yung mga mangingisda natin, Zambales fishermen going to Scarborough Shoal. No? Ikaw ba? Anong sentimiento mo dyan? Are you pro or anti? Should we still continue to go to our fishing grounds there na nakasanayan ng mga taga-Zambales?
Yeah, definitely. And again, that should have national government support. It's not only a show of sovereignty, it's a show of malasakit to people who have for generations fished in Scarborough. It's actually part of Masinloc, a major fishing town. So on the international level, it's a matter of showing our sovereignty. For God's sake, it's our land. Of course we can fish there. And it's been the traditional fishing grounds of the people in Masinloc for the longest time, no? So,
next issue, pro or anti Duterte lifting the 9-year ban on new mines to boost revenues?
Anti. There's nothing new. to change a policy. I mean, I find it quite strange that in April 2021, the policy that Gina Lopez put forth of if you're in violation of environmental laws that affect other people, then you should not be operating. I don't know. Like, for example, in Zambales, 4 of the 27 mines are here in Zambales. I don't think there was even any effort by DNR to explain how they're able now to comply and why they should all be reopened. So it seems to me it's just because of the campaign. People need money for campaigning, and so the easiest way is to scoop up the earth at any cost, send it to China, and you've got money.
Okay, lastly, itong granting of Kabangan land to Maporac Aitas. Are you pro or anti? Are you familiar with the issue?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the detailed issues of that. No, so I think that's the town of Kabangan, no?
Kabangan, sorry.
Kabangan, yeah. And
Pronounced it wrongly. Kabangan land.
Kabangan, yeah. And then you mentioned a certain kind of Aita.
Maporac Aitas?
Sa Maporac Aitas, yung land dispute.
So I think these are Aitas from a barangay called Porac in Botolan, and then the next town to the south is Kabangan. So maybe there's an effort to resettle Aitas from Porac to Kabangan. As long as it's done with the respect for other people's property rights, and that it is a good place for them to move to, by all means. Everybody should have a home. Everybody should have a home. And I find that also very disturbing here in Zambales when it's been 30 years since the Mount Pinatubo eruption. And as a congressman, I find it, as a hopeful congressman, I find it weird that none of the resettlement sites, the house and lots, have been transferred to anybody, to any beneficiary. And yet, when they were building them, I know because I myself donated about 40 hectares for a government resettlement site in 1992. And 30 years later, they enticed us to donate it by saying it will go to the people. And now 30 years later, it's not. So I plan to, if I am elected, do an investigation into that. In general, I want people to have their own homes and their own land, because if they don't own it and they just live there, they won't take care of it.
So you're saying it's been 30 years since you donated, wala pa rin nangyari dun sa dinonate nyo?
Naging magandang resettlement area. May daming bahay. There are 3,000 houses there. There's a health center. But the people do not own the residential house. So of course, if you don't own it, nobody's going to paint their house. Nobody's going to fix the window, because at any time, if you don't have to know your security, why will you fix it, diba? So you got this generation of children growing up in really terrible looking places, Anyway,
enough yung awarding of lands, tapos hindi naman talaga naalagaan o nayu-utilize ng tama, no?
Di ba? Halimbawa ka, Jay, may pinahiram mo yung motor mo sa isang kaibigan mo, di ba? Sa ilang taon, di ba? Pero kung sa kanya yung motor, talagang alagaan niya, di ba? Ay, ganun din sa lupa sa bahay. Hindi mo kasuhin yan kung hindi naman sa iyo gagamitin mo. Pero hindi mo siya ayusin. So you get this look, you know this look when you, of course you don't see this in Manila because many people own their own houses. When you go to these places that people are just living there, it just looks so shabby and like shanties. So anyway, I plan to look into that as to what happened. Why was the original deal not made? Because I think it would have been much more progressive if people were really given the titles to their
titles. Yeah. All right. Yeah. We'll just pause for a short break. Na-warm up na natin si Philip. Okay? Stay tuned. Ito, meron pa tayong yung tinatawag nating ultimate challenge. You're still watching All Politics is Local. We'll be right back.
It's showtime at the 2022 NBA All-Star Saturday Night. Don't miss the sharp passing.
This is ridiculous.
And smooth dribbling.
Sabonis crossing half court. Come on, catch him! Catch him, Junior!
Get amazed by the shooting streaks.
Now we're ready. Come on, see it. And now here's his Boston Celtic teammate, G.
The money ball.
Will this be the champ? Curry hits it at the buzzer!
High flyers.
12 feet. Go get that. He's 6'3".
And the perfect 50 dunks.
I don't want 49. Don't want 48. Give me 50.
For all things All-Star, we're always a fan. Watch the All-Star Saturday night on NBA TV Philippines, TV5, and One Sports.
Watch fresh episodes of Step Up Season on the UAP Varsity channel, available on Cignal Channel 263 HD and Cignal Play.
Welcome back. You're still watching All Politics is Local. With us, aspiring Zambales 2nd District Representative Philip Camara. At kung para namang hindi napawisan, siguro nag-init lang ng kaunti, partner, ano? Dito sa ating naging lightning round. Eto na, dito na tayo sa ating ultimate challenge na tatawagin natin Fauna de Camara. Dahil kayo ay kilalang certified environmentalist, Philip, at mapagmahal sa ating inang kalikasan. Ang tanong namin, saan ninyo maihahambing na hayop ang mga sumusunod na personalidad na aming babanggitin ni Jay?
Partner, bago tayo mag-start, may isang tanong lang ako kay Philip, no? Philip, sino ba ang nakikita mo na dapat nating maging presidente ngayong 2022 elections? Who are you rooting for? Who are you supporting sa mga presidential candidates?
Kasi independent siya eh. He's running as
independent ka eh. So you can actually choose.
Well, yeah, actually, that would be one of the reasons too that I'm running is that I want to make sure that Lenny and Kiko are triumphant, because it's quite worrisome that they do not have local candidates. So while Lenny himself is independent, and I don't know about other districts, but certainly wherever I go, we do as much campaigning for Lenny as I do for myself. By putting her posters and everywhere I am, Lenny goes.
All right, kakamping pala ito si Philip. Okay.
Kakamping.
Okay, partner, sige, mauna ka na.
Okay, saang hayop mo maihahambing ang unang personalidad natin, President Rodrigo Duterte? At bakit?
Naku, mahirap yan, ha?
Ayan na, napawisan na, partner.
Wait. Well, there are things that I want to say, pero baka politically hindi maganda eh.
Bulong mo lang sa amin, bulong mo lang.
Tayo lang naman nandito.
Okay, I think he's like parang gorilla type, gorilla.
Gorilla.
Alam mo yung male gorilla na medyo bossy, di ba? Uutukin ka kung nagkamali ka doon sa tribo, di ba? So, kung may pumasok na iba, talagang magagalit, di ba?
Okay, next personality, si VP Lenny Robredo.
Lenny Robredo, wow. Lenny Robredo. I would liken her to like a cat-like animal, like a this like a panther or a cougar. In that, I can see that she is really observant, and that she can understand her environment and how to operate within it, and be very stealthy in terms of action that will actually strategically yield, benefits. So, there.
At ang iyong makakatunggali, Amor Deloso.
Si Amor Deloso,
Sa pagkakakilala mo or sa klase ng pamumuno, saan mo siya maihahambing?
yes, yeah. I would say parang kung yung isa gorilla, yung isa naman parang chimpanzee. Mas maraming social interaction, mas maraming communication, mas yung naiintindi yung signals and from the others and is able to respond. Ang problema lang po ni Papo Amor, ang tawag po namin sa kanya dito, is that he's 85 years old and I don't think it's right for a very senior person. I myself am a senior citizen. But, the job of being a congressman for the very important issues that you're facing Zambales, I think would require more energy.
Okay, yung next personality, si RJ Nieto ng Thinking Pinoy.
Si RJ Nieto, ha?
Oo.
But this blabbers away.
Oo, ito yung diba? Naglabas na yung sinabing nabigyan ho kayo ng 9 billion.
I'm not familiar with
budget.
that.
Oo, yung 9 billion na budget na sinasabi po. Mula kay former
Yeah, I've no comment on RJ Nieto because one, I don't know him that well. Sorry.
Okay.
Dito na lang tayo kay late and former DENR Secretary Gina Lopez.
Wow. Gina Lopez, my gosh. Beyond any animal you can think of. Because animals they have boundaries. Hanggang the most they can reach is here, and then hanggang dito. Animals they operate here. But Gina Lopez is really a creature that was open to the whole cosmic intelligence. I would say she had she had a consciousness that was quite holistic and very personal. She had a very humanistic side to her, and quite bold and courageous. So that it's difficult to put her in an animal category. So, na naman ako, ha?
Sige. Okay, lastly, Sir Philip, people of o residente ng 2nd District of Zambales, anong hayop mo sila maikukumpara?
Wow. They, sa ngayon, they are like lost sheep. Mga tupa na wala nang sikaso sa kanila. Pati yung pasture nila ay hindi naman nakakalusog. So parang silang mga kawawang tupa. Sa ngayon, yung karamihan na nakikilala ko, naghahanap po sila ng pag-asa, ng leadership.
So Philip, before we end this, why would they choose you? Why choose Philip Camara?
Yes, there are 3 of us who want to be the representative in the 2nd District. As I mentioned earlier, the first one is 85 years old. The second one is our current mayor, and her performance can speak for itself. The kind of development orientation can speak for itself because she's actually held the position for 9 years. And I myself, from the private sector, I've never been elected into any position, so I really do have to go out and meet the people directly because I do hope to represent them well and not just my ideas, they're important. Ang mahalaga po dito, ano mga prioridad po nila ang importante. Kaya kung hindi po ako umikot, paano ko pa malalaman yan, no? So, yun, I hope to be an actual representative of the people's interests.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on this episode, aspiring Zambales 2nd District Representative Philip Camara.
Thank you very much. All those listening in and viewing, I'd like to thank Jay and Cheryl, and greet everybody a good evening and a good future for our country. Elections are always a time for renewal, a time for hope, and it's with the politicians that are offering themselves that would allow one to make the right choice. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Jay and Cheryl. Good luck on all your endeavors.
All right. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
We've asked the questions and gotten to know your candidates a little bit better. 2nd District of Zambales, you decide. I'm Jay Taruc.
And I'm Cheryl Cosim. Join us tomorrow for another episode of All Politics is Local.
Get in the game and get to know the stories of your favorite UAAP athletes. Watch Step Up Season on the UAAP Varsity channel, available on Cignal Channel 263 HD and on